and welcome to this another episode of ECCB Connects. This week we'll be discussing national accounts, and I have with me Hazel Corbin, advisor in the Statistics Department. Hazel, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you very much, Sharmala. It's my pleasure to be here.
Hazel, you're considered the region's expert on national accounts, having been doing this for over 30 years. When we speak about national accounts, explain this concept to us, please.
Okay, so national accounts is really a statistical procedure which aims at providing very detailed information on a number of transactions that is taking place in an economy during a given period of time. And just to break it down, when we look at an economy, you have imports arriving, exports going abroad, people purchasing goods. So the national accounts provides a very detailed framework to record all these transactions. And one of the key indicators that's coming out of national accounts is GDP, and I'm sure everybody is familiar with the GDP.
But just in case, you could just explain GDP.
So GDP is the gross domestic product. So it is the value of all the goods and services that is produced in an economy during a given period of time. And it could be measured on an annual basis, which we do at present, or even quarterly basis. So it tells you how the economy is performing. And what we do, we have here a program at the ECCB whereby we ensure that the GDP numbers are harmonized among our member countries, so that when we compare the gross value added or the GDP for Antigua with Dominica, we know that we are following international standards, international guidelines, right, international methodology, so the estimates are harmonized.
And they can be measured right across, straight across countries.
It can be, yes. And we usually publish these numbers on our website. So the GDP is very useful. A lot of international, we have to report the GDP estimates to international organizations on a regular basis. And it's used by countries for planning purposes, right, and decision making. It's a very useful indicator in terms of deriving ratios. So you would have the ratio of the fiscal deficit or revenue or expenditure to GDP. Another important ratio is the debt to GDP, investment to GDP. And also businesses, they're very keen on seeing exactly what their contribution is to the entire economy. And we are able to provide that information. The GDP numbers are published by industry, so it's broken down agriculture, manufacturing, the various industries, and we follow an international guideline, which is called the International Standard of Industrial Classification, to disaggregate the GDP. So countries have detailed access to this information, and it has been utilized on a frequent basis because everybody wants to know, are you growing? Is the economy growing? Is the economy contracting? And this is where we get that information from, our GDP numbers. So it's important to everyone.
Okay. How do you go about compiling the national accounts? What's involved?
We work with the member countries. And I always say that national accounts is the nucleus of statistical activity, because in order to compile national account statistics, you need very detailed data from all various sources. We utilize data from the CPI, we utilize survey information, administrative information, and everything just feeds in nicely. Now, we have detailed establishment surveys in the member states. And this is sent out by the statistical offices to various businesses, asking for information, mainly that comes from the profit and loss statement. So we will ask for information on revenue and expenses. This data are entered into detailed spreadsheets, and we have certain formulas that would then calculate the gross value added for each establishment. Obviously, the information is confidential, and it would not be divulged or published at an establishment level. We would then aggregate it and publish it at a sector or industry level. So it's the questionnaires are sent to depending on the size of the country, but we would send around between 400 to 1,700 establishments. and it's sent out towards the end of the year. The statistical offices will monitor the establishments to ensure that they got the questionnaire and that they will fill it in and send it back. The data is then processed and entered into the specially designed spreadsheets, and from that we compile the value added, we put it all together, and we add taxes on products, the fiscal data to it to come up with our GDP at market prices.
Okay. Compiling national accounts, as you've mentioned, it's a statistical function, and you spoke about the surveys you administer. But we also know that statistics, compiling statistics, it's a challenge in the region. What are some of the major challenges you've encountered over these years?
I would say the non-response to these surveys by businesses, and since the National Account Survey is the main source of information, so we need to have more public awareness, right? More meetings with the private sector to probably instill the importance of completing these forms. So that is a significant challenge to get establishments and businesses to respond to the survey. So I think much more has to be done. Some businesses would indicate they are not comfortable in providing this detailed information because the information required is really information from the profit and loss statement.
Okay, so they don't want to talk about that aspect of their business.
Want to. And then others, small establishment, would indicate that we don't have detailed statements.
Because
right?
they don't keep records.
So, these are some of the things. So we need to have more one-on-one, dialogue with them to show them the importance, and so that they can begin to provide us with this type of information. Now, the statistical offices or the member countries, there is a statistical act that makes it mandatory for these establishments to complete the questionnaires and return it to the office. However, a lot of the member states, the statistical acts are outdated. So this is one area that needs to be improved, to have more modern statistical acts, so that we could work with the businesses in getting the required information for national accounts purposes.
You spoke about the importance of the involvement of businesses and so on, and the importance of national accounts to the economy and businesses. But let's say you break it down to the individual. Let's say a housewife, the ordinary citizen. To
the individuals, it would be important because from the national accounts we would compile estimate of per capita, right? So we're breaking it down. Per capita mean this is like the wealth of the country. So we will take the GDP and divide it by the mid-year population. So this gives an indication of the wealth, so we could compare one country to another. So this is important for individuals. They may want, if they want to move to another country, they would want to go to a country that has a very higher per capita and so forth. It provides information on businesses, because individuals are involved in various businesses. So, they may want to be an entrepreneur. They would look at the statistics and say, okay, the output for manufacturing is going rapidly. Maybe there's some opportunity here for me to start a business in this particular industry. So it provides a wealth of information to individuals.
Which sectors tend to use the national accounts information most?
I find mostly the corporate sectors. We would have requests from a lot of banks, insurance companies, manufacturing companies. They tend to request this information. So we tend not to find households coming in and asking for GDP. So it's mostly the corporations that would ask for this detailed information.
Okay, you mentioned you're having some challenges with businesses providing the information, completing the surveys. If you were to issue one message to them to encourage them to complete the surveys and to participate, what would that message be?
I would tell them that the national accounts would be extremely useful for their purposes as well. They would be able to see their contribution to the economy, especially if they would be interested in expanding the scope and coverage of the economic activities. So it's extremely useful for them, and so I would encourage them. I would also let them know that whatever information is supplied will be kept in strict confidence. It would not be divulged to anyone. the numbers are published at an aggregated level, not at an individual level, that we could identify a particular business. So those are some of the key areas that I would try and point out to them to encourage them to respond to the surveys.
Okay. Hazel, you've been compiling national accounts for over 30 years. What kept you going all these years?
I would say a passion. I just love, I had a passion for national accounts, and also the ability to work with so many different islands and so many different individuals, different personalities. It involves a lot of training, so I love to train, and I want to ensure that people understand the concepts. So just working with individuals, training them, and seeing their keen interest in the statistics kept me going, and it's something I love. So although I will be retiring shortly, I think I would still continue to do some consultancy in this particular field.
Hazel, you're retiring soon. What's next for Hazel?
Well, we have a family business, so I intend to put a lot of energy into the family business. I have a lot of countries on my bucket list, so I want to go and visit some of these countries and just spend time with family, friends, grandchildren, enjoying life.
Hazel, thank you very much. I take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of the region for your years of service, and I wish you all the best on your retirement. And thank you for speaking with us on ECCB Connects.
Thank you, Sherman. It has been indeed a pleasure for me to serve not only the ECCU, but also the member countries. Thank you.
You're watching ECCB Connects, protecting our currency, developing our region. And now for this week's financial tip.
Hi, I'm Othniel Carr from St. Vincent and the Grenadines and a graduate of the ECCB Entrepreneurship course. Do not wait until you're close to retirement to begin saving for your retirement. You are the architect of your financial future. So just as you would save towards a car, house, piece of land, or even sending your kids to school, start saving towards your retirement fund today. The earlier you start, the greater the possibility that you would be able to afford your retirement.
To view any episode of ECCB Connects, anytime, any place, at your convenience, check out our YouTube channel, ECCB Connects.
We've come to the end of another episode of ECCB Connects. Remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. See you next time.